Hey everybody, Lee from PcjunkieMods here. So today we're going to talk about the new Phanteks Mini XL chassis. It is from the Enthoo series. It is a full tower chassis. It's a little bit different than the rest of the chassis that they have. It does kind of look like the Primo Lux versions. The Primo has this pop out, and one of the good features about that pop out is the chassis is wider. So you get a lot more cable management back here. So as you can see, you have the power supply here, which helps that this extra pop out actually helps to be able to put the power supply isolated from your hardware. One of the things about this chassis is it only supports a micro board. It does not support a full ATX motherboard. The reason being is this chassis is designed with an upgrade pack, which I'll show you here in a bit, to have an ITX system located here. So with the upgrade pack, this whole panel, this panel here comes out, and there's a new panel that would drop in, and it has a small form factor power supply cut out here, and then I think it has one fan mounting, and then it has an ITX setup. So like I said, we'll get into that later. As far as fans, since we're here in the back, it supports two 120s and two 140s here on the back. So that's you got plenty of water cooling options for that, or plenty of airflow. On the top up here, you have a possibility of three 120s and then two 140s. On the front, you have two of either or. So you're talking about a lot of airflow. Also on the floor, you can put up to three 120s and two 140s, I believe. I'll double check that just because I know I've forgot some stuff before on other chassis. Another cool feature that Phanteks has been doing is their pop-out air filters. So you can actually just pull that right out, wash it, whatever, stick it back in. So that is a nice feature without having to take your whole front panel off to get to it. And then on the bottom, they have two more. So you have these two, they're identical, one here and then one here. So yeah, that is a nice feature. I like the coming out the side here because it makes it a little easier, especially depending on where your chassis is located. Another cool thing that they've stuck with is the big windows. So they have the double window here. Now they've actually in this chassis utilized this extra window for if you have some optional SSD mounts here, and I'll show you that in a bit. And then they have the big window here for your hardware. So with the smoke glass, the nice feature you've seen before. Another thing I'll have to show you is this is an LED here, just like in the Primo. It's an RGB kit, and then there's actually a button up top, which the buttons are, you have your power button here. You have a, I think this is the LED, and this is the reset, and then you have two USB 3.0s, and then audio and headset. So, yeah, so that pretty much covers the whole outside. It does support 3 5 1/4. You got a nice little vent going on here for your air intake, and then also there's some more intake here, and nope, no intake there. And then it also goes all the way around the bottom. So let's go ahead and pop this bad boy open and have a look. Real quick, what came inside the case, inside the accessory box. I'll show you this in a bit. This is a radiator / fan bracket that you can put in. And this is also I'll show you this also. This is the res mount. And then you have the cool Phanteks little box, accessory box that has all the screws and grommets and stuff like that. You got a pump mount bracket that goes below one of the hard drive cages. You got your cool manual that Phanteks always supplies. You got some zip ties here and another Phanteks strap. So that's what's inside the box. So I just took off the back door and the front door. I wanted to show you the inside. As we're moving there, I figured I'd show you a couple things. On the back door where the PSU mounts, which is up here, there is a magnetic filter here. It's got four magnetic strips. Just drop it right on the door there, and it sticks pretty good. Then you also have, how do you want to call that, a block off. So this either blocks off any airflow, or you could take this piece off for the optional rad mount / fan intake, or however you want to use that. This basically would put the fans up against the door, and there's magnetic filters there also. And then this guy, if I'm not mistaken, drops in there like so. Obviously I still have the hard drives in there, so I can't really show you exactly. It just pushes all the way in, so it mounts against here, and there's 2 screw holes at the bottom down here. Now with this, you could put a push-pull, ginormous rads. There's plenty of clearance because you figure the length of a hard drive is how much space you have. So like I said before, the water cooling options are crazy. Let's go ahead and might as well just finish the back, huh? So as far as let's talk about hard drives. As far as hard drives go, it does support 6 hard drives right out the get with the cages that are available here. And then you also have, and they have the cool cages like they always use. They have the little, they make me think of a little guy when you put these out, and it looks like a little, could be a dancing guy. So it's toolless, nice design, sturdy plastic. So, and then right here also you can mount another hard drive. Where is the location? I want to say I've seen it mounted here somewhere. I'll have to look in the matter of fact, here, hold on. Okay, so I had a look at the manual. You can put a 3.5 drive here, but you need an optional hard drive cage that you would order from Phanteks or one of the retailers like Newegg or Tire Direct. And then as far as SSDs go, it does come with 2 brackets. They have the drop-in hook brackets here, and then around on the front, I want to show you, you can put 2 more drop-in hooks here. I'm pretty sure that this screw pack that comes with the case probably has the appropriate screws for the drop-in hooks. So you could display your SSDs here. There are cutouts to run your wires here, and that's the only spot to run the wires. So let's move back to the back here, finish off the back. It does have the PWM hub here in the back to control all your fans, up to 6 fans, and then 1 lead that would go to your PWM, like your CPU or something. Most motherboards nowadays have multiple PWMs on the motherboards now, so that's awesome. So it does come with 1 2-way, so you're actually able to add a 7th fan to that. They do have their nice Velcro fabric straps, really like those. They got a bunch of them. So then another thing that they got here is the cool grommets that the Phanteks has had in most of their chassis. Nice good rubber grommets. This one is in a good location because it's right behind the power supply, which is pretty good. They also have optional zip tie spots back here. There's a couple grommets down here in the bottom. Another thing that I did notice is most of their chassis will come with a additional, if I can get it out of here, RGB LED strip plug-in. The reason being is that Phanteks actually offers a 1 millimeter and a 2 millimeter strip that you can actually purchase from their store.
Is it 1 millimeter or 1 meter and 2 meter?
Yeah, that's a big difference. Sorry. So for some reason my brain took a big fart there and I said millimeter, but I meant 1 meter, 2 meter. You can get these from their store. So these are an optional buy. Another thing that you can purchase is their HDD brackets. Oh wait, hey, hold on. This is the one we were talking about. This is the HDD bracket that I was thinking for some reason this was the SSD bracket. So this is a newer product because this will be the first chassis I think that is available that has the drop-in hook HD 3.5 drop-in hook bracket. So now this bracket here will mount in this location, and there's also a location in the 5 1/4 bay, which I'll show you in a few. So that gives you an additional hard drive, which gives you 7 hard drives instead of 6. Which is cool because a lot of people do have 4 hard drives, and if you were going to do water cooling and you pulled out the bottom to create clearance for your radiator, your pump, whatever, then you would still be able to put 4 drives in there plus 4 SSDs. So I think that about covers the back area here, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the front. As far as the front goes, we got the nice clean look, but as you can see, ATX, micro ATX motherboard. With grommet pass-throughs for your audio cable, your headphone mic, and the on-off switch and stuff like that, which is a good location. This is the location the ITX would go, And here in a minute, I'll show you that upgrade pack. So, and then for the other mounting position for the 3.5 that I was talking about, it goes in here in the 5 1/4, so it actually mounts in just like that. Then it also, they come with the reservoir bracket, and the reservoir bracket would mount, I don't want to drop it, I just dropped it a minute ago. And then it's 2 screws, one here and then one down here. So as far as you can see here, I've already talked about the SSDs that go here. They have their nice push and lock 5 1/4 base. I've talked about all the fan locations. You can put a big old radiator, 360 radiator, 240 radiator, whatever, in the floor here. But you got to be careful. Depending on what hardware you have in here will determine whether or not you can use this. If you use the dual setup, the PSU, the SFX PSU will be located right here, which will cause problems for you to be able to put a 360 rad in the bottom. You could probably still put a 240 in there. Most of this chassis does come apart via screws. As you can see, there's a screw here. There's screws across the top here, so the whole top panel actually unscrews. The front panel unscrews. The bottom and the back here are riveted together. This does unscrew and come out, so the whole, you can take all the hard drives out, put a big reservoir in there, a dual 240 rad in the front or in the back area like I showed. So there's a lot of capabilities for water cooling like most of their chassis have. Let's go ahead and talk about the upgrade pack. So I got the box here. As you can see on the box, it comes with 3 components. The ITX I/O panel, which takes a 5 1/4 bay, which has the same configuration as the chassis, except for the LED on-off thing. It does have a power button, a reset button, an audio jack, a headphone jack, or a mic jack, and a headphone jack, and then 2 3.0s. This is the breakout piece that would be the replacement for the back. This picture is not really accurate because there's actually an I/O cut out there for the motherboard. And then also you have the motherboard tray. So let me go ahead and pull them out and show them to you. And then also in the bottom description, I'll be putting the retail prices or the MSRPs for both, for the chassis and for the upgrade pack that you can purchase separately. It does not come with the chassis. So this is the breakout panel. This is how it would go on the chassis here. So it would mount in this exact location, and as you can see, this is where the motherboard would be located, right on the other side of the power supply. And then you have your 2 for like a dual slot video card, which is cool. I'm not too keen on the, I think this box is in the way here. I'm not too keen on the placement for the power supply, but my honest opinion is I'm into modding, so it's not a big deal to me, because I'll take this, when I get around to messing around with this chassis and building it, I'm actually going to take that ITX power supply and move it here, because most of the time, most of my builds are water cooled, so I'm not worried about a power supply obstructing my cooler clearance or anything like that. And you can get low profile coolers, so I'll kind of do a DIY on that and show you guys how to do it if anybody's interested. But that would be the best option, because one of the bad things about small form factor power supplies is their cables are only like this long. So basically, I don't want to use my main system, let's say this is a dual system, I don't want to use my main system powered to this small form factor, because then I'm limited on what I can put on that board. And most of the time I run SLI, so if I'm running SLI off a small form factor power supply, the only SLI I'm going to be able to run off like a 600 is probably 2 6-pin cards, meaning 2 6-pins total, which those cards aren't out yet, but they will be soon. I'd rather power it off something bigger, whereas, you know, this power supply is more optimal for the ITX, which is all the way up here. So either you buy extension cables, which isn't a big deal, or you change your power supply, meaning you rewire the whole thing yourself, which I could do, but most people aren't going to do all that. So I think the location down here is kind of not the best choice. With that being said, let's move on. The other parts, like I said, were the motherboard tray and the I/O, and I don't want to sugarcoat anything. That's why I'm trying to be honest here. You know, when I tell you what I think of the chassis and stuff. So This is the front panel for the ITX. It'll slide into any of the 3 bays. I'm pretty sure I haven't tested it. I don't see anything obstructing anything. So should be able to put it in the top, the middle, or the bottom. And it does have all the cables and everything there. So pretty nice little deal. And it actually matches the front texture of the chassis, which is a nice feature instead of just a flat black or something off the wall there, I guess. So the motherboard tray does come with the screws for installing it, I assume, and maybe for the pre-installed standoffs. The cool thing is on this motherboard tray, they actually have the I don't know what to call those, but basically you put the motherboard on there and these 2 standoffs will lock the motherboard in there because they have the inlets that go into the holes of the motherboard. So I'm assuming that this goes in like so. The reason I say I'm assuming is this is the first time I've tried to put it in here. There's a hole here for a screw and there's a hole there for a screw. So it looks like it screws in at the top, it screws in the back, and then right there. So that would lock that in completely. It does overhang, as you can see, your existing motherboard. So I'm trying to see if I can hold this somehow. Well, you can see my finger here. It overhangs about 2 inches. So I'm thinking that, okay, well it's not. So it overhangs to about right here. The motherboard probably comes to the edge of this rubber here. So it doesn't overhang the motherboard completely, but if you put a dual socket card in there, that card is going to slightly overhang your setup. So that might also determine what cooler you put on that motherboard. So that's kind of one of the things. If somebody buys this to build a dual system, you need to keep that in mind, that don't buy some gargantuan cooler to go on your micro setup because of the fact that your ITX setup might get in the way if you have another video card up there. So that kind of covers the upgrade pack. Another thing I wanted to talk about on the chassis, the reason I haven't pulled these panels off is I was going to get to this. Up here, as you can see, if you don't put an ITX system in here, I've been talking about the water cooling capabilities. There's this much room for a radiator with fans on it if you don't put an ITX setup. I don't know of any radiator that is that big. So I mean, you could probably put like maybe your gamer logo or something cool there. That'd be cool. But you can fit, it looks like your fan, looks like there's 25 millimeter space up there. So you could put a fan here, radiator, and another fan if you wanted to. And I know most of the Phanteks chassis do support the ginormous 62 millimeter radiators. So there's plenty of space there. You're not going to have any issue there. And then there's a lot of room still in here. So let me go ahead and pull off the front and the top just to show you what it looks like with nothing on it. All right, so to remove the front piece, you have to disconnect the RGB cable. So be careful if you go to pull this off, because I know on the Lux, when I went to pull it off, I wasn't paying attention and I actually ripped this out of the Lux that I did repair before Dwight got it. But so with that said, this is pretty hefty, pretty heavy piece here. It's one of the best things about Phanteks chassis is the build quality is awesome. I don't see any skimping out on anything. As you can see, it's got a bunch of insets for when you push the panel back on. So there's no problems with lining it up. As you can see, the filter here. It's also got some foaming behind the intakes that I was talking about earlier. So keep the dust down, which is nice. And then let's go ahead and move the top piece. You're supposed to remove a thumb screw in the back, and then it slides back and then up. And as you can see, it's just got a little screen in there. You don't really need to worry about dust going in at the top unless you're intaking, which kind of goes against the grain because heat does rise still, last time I checked. So as you can see, it's nice and open up here. You got plenty of mounting points for your fans. Like I said, what was it, two 140s and 3 120s up here. As you can see, it supports 2 140s in the front and then also 2 120s. The chassis does come with 3 140 fans total, And the Phanteks 140 fans do kick some serious butt, so they're pretty awesome. They move a lot of air. It comes pre-installed with one on the back and two in the front. So that about wraps it up. I've covered the whole chassis. I'm going to go ahead and put the front panel and the top panel back on, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to let you know why would I buy this chassis. One of the reasons I could see somebody buying this chassis, or myself, is if I needed to put two PCs in one box. Now, a lot of people say, well, why would you need to put two PCs in one box? I can give you a couple good reasons. One good reason would be to go to a LAN party. Now, think about that. If you go to LAN parties, like I do often, then you could have two gaming PCs in one, so then you cut down on space that they keep seeming to take more and more of every LAN party I go to. So it went from me having a lot of space, I gotta put the thumb screw in, having a lot of space to not having a lot of space. Does that make sense? That didn't make sense. So basically I had like this much space at one point, now I have like this much space. But if you have one box for you and your buddy, then we're back to maybe like this much space, right? So that is pretty cool. Could be pretty cool, because you and your buddy can coordinate it, and let's say you and your brother, you and your girlfriend, whatever, and be able to just have one PC, technically or physically, one looks like one PC at a LAN party, and actually have two systems gaming on it. So that's one good reason to have a chassis like this. The other reason would be if you were in the position like my buddy Dwight, who does streaming on a daily basis. Now, he has his gaming PC, and this chassis actually came after we did his render PC. So I'm sure if this chassis was available before we built his render PC, he would probably be moving into this chassis. Reason being is he doesn't have a lot of space, but he has two computers now. So if he would have been able to put two computers into one case, it would have saved him a lot of space. That is another good reason to have two PCs in one case. Another good thing that I could think would be maybe in an office environment to cut down on space. It basically comes down to space. Two desktop PCs or one. Two PCs in one case. So yes and no, a lot of people will say, because I've seen other cases that have two PCs in one, but usually they're ginormous. You're talking like Case Labs, Mountain Mods, something like that, because they're not your Cooler Master or any of those kind of companies. They're specialty companies. The cases are a lot more expensive. This is the first company that I've seen that's come out with one chassis that can support two PCs in it. I know Cooler Master came out with the half stacker, which could support a PC in their ITX type chassis, and then which is a one. When you buy it, it comes as one case, but they come apart. So anyways, those are some reasons I could see why you'd want two PCs. So with that being said, I think I want to wrap this video up. Like I said, MSRP prices will be in the description below for the chassis and the upgrade pack. If I can get the prices on the other items that I did show you, like the LED kits and the hard drive bracket, then I'll put that in the description also. Just keep in mind, this chassis is a micro ATX chassis. So if you're thinking about building a PC with a full ATX motherboard, this is not going to be your chassis. So you need to keep that in mind when you're buying, and if you are planning on going with two systems in this, you need to basically buy most of the hardware. I would not buy coolers right away because of the fact that you need to see everything laid out in here. There is a video out. It is Kit Guru does a video. He actually puts systems in it. He does touch on the points, and he does install hardware into it. I was going to install hardware, but I've run out of time and I got so much stuff going on. I just don't have time to do it right now. At some point I will get to this chassis and I will actually put some systems in it and maybe take it to a LAN party to kind of show you what I meant by two guys game on one box. With that being said, thanks for watching my video. Until next time.